Yes, I am. Yeah, for sure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Down in the Valley. My name is Edson Ochoa. Accompanying me is our co-host Jacob Young. Jacob, how are you doing?
Doing well. Looking forward to this discussion about World Cup and Real Monarchs and all that fun stuff about Houston Dynamo as well.
Yeah, definitely. So it was really, I guess you can say, in other aspects of the soccer world, there's been a lot of news. You mentioned World Cup. There's been a lot of MLS discussion as well as in, I guess you can say, in the USL you have Cincy being offered the latest franchise in the MLS. But more importantly, because we are so close to the World Cup, we will be talking about that later on. It'll be a discussion where we'll be analyzing each and every group in the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia. But first of all, let's go ahead and start local. But before we actually start, I want to go ahead and thank you all. First of all, thank you all for tuning in to Down in the Valley here on YouTube. Second of all, be sure to check out our friends at the Beautiful Game Network. Go ahead and check them out. Follow them on Twitter at the BGNFM. Check out their website at bgn.fm. You can also, I believe they also have a Facebook, Beautiful Game Network. Be sure to check out their sponsor, which is Roughneck Scarves, the official scarf supplier of the USL, MLS, and NCAA. Be sure to check them out. Also, don't forget to check out our website at www.downintheRGV.com. Follow us on all of our social media. We have Facebook, Down in the Valley, at Down in the RGV. That's the same handle for the Twitter as well. Follow us on Instagram. Instagram is RGVFC fans. We do a little bit of of updating there with some news. Also, be sure to subscribe to all of our podcast platforms, whether it's iTunes, Google Play Store, Stitcher, the BGN.FM website, as well as Down in DRG website. You can also find our podcast there, as well as SoundCloud. Be sure to follow Down in the Valley's official SoundCloud and all these other platforms. Be sure to also follow my personal account. Actually, don't follow my personal account. If you want to keep your sanity, don't follow me. Do not follow me at eochoa_8. But be sure to follow Jacob's personal Twitter, which is at Jacob Young 456. Correct?
Yes, correct on that. Yeah.
And also follow our other contributors to this show, to this website. Cesar Cortez at Quart_EZ. Cortez. Took me a while to figure that out. Thank you, Sean. And then you can also follow Ray Silva at CardPicker86. So that's our introduction. I'll see you later, guys. That's our show. No, I'm just kidding. Just keep on staying. So we actually have a couple of comments so far, very early in the show. So Sloth says, "How do you guys feel about the Sports Illustrated cover of America's Other Team?" We'll go ahead and we'll cover that when we get to the World Cup. To the World Cup segment of the show. But for now, let's go ahead and talk, Jacob, about the Toros' upcoming match, which is against Real Monarchs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's so much to just talk about from the start, especially our lineup coming off of how we played versus LA Galaxy 2, having that sort of break that we had as well. And then, of course, that big news from Real Monarchs where the head coach is not going to be there for that game.
Yeah, I mean, it came out all of a sudden, and it's a pretty big news because of the severity of the problem, the severity of what this head coach was involved with, and it's nothing light, honestly. It's something that it's a criminal case, and that is that the coach was actually accused of he was accused, I believe, of hitting domestic violence, and the worst part is he tried to bribe his girlfriend, the victim, to not go and tell the authorities about this. So wherever you see it, it's really something that no team wants to be involved in.
No team wants to be involved with anything like that. We go back to even Houston Dynamo having that trouble with Tyler Derrick. I know it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was kind of the same thing. You get into an argument at a bar with maybe your ex-girlfriend, and then your ex-girlfriend convicts you of basically abuse or domestic violence. And so then, of course, you go to this bigger story to where there's, like you said, there's bribery involved now, not just an assault. And so now he's got to go up to court, and how do you get away from that as a club? That's a big question, because I don't know if the Real Monarchs will be that focused. They're still technically a USL team. They're not like an MLS club who can get over that fact in almost a second.
Mm-hmm. So I actually have the article posted up right now. So let me go ahead and read a little bit about it. So it says the head coach of the Real Monarchs. This is from the Salt Lake Tribune. The head coach of the Real Monarchs soccer team has been suspended after being charged with multiple misdemeanor counts of domestic violence and reportedly trying to persuade his accuser to stop talking to police and prosecutors about her allegations. Mark Briggs, 36, is scheduled to appear in Draper's Justice Court June 12th to answer the charges, including 2 counts of domestic assault, domestic violence in the presence of a child, and witness tampering, according to court records. All are Class B misdemeanors. After the Salt Lake Tribune reported the charges Tuesday, the Monarchs' parent club, Real Salt Lake, suspended Briggs, according to a statement. Briggs has been placed on administrative leave while the club investigates the allegations. So then Jameson Olav, assistant coach with the Monarchs, will take over the coaching duties while Briggs is suspended, starting with Tuesday's match against Sacramento Republic FC, according to the statement, and that it will not comment further until the investigation is complete. So right then and there, Real Monarchs or Real Salt Lake in this case want nothing to do with his personal his personal problems with the law.
Yeah, and why would you? When you do something wrong like that, when you break the law, especially when you're a professional head coach, there's no going away from that. You're going to be suspended anytime that you break the law. It happens to the players. It's going to happen to you, and it's not good. It's not good for publicity, obviously, and it hurts your club. And now you've got a kind of a distraction. Of course, now I think that assistant coach that's basically going to be the head coach for a while, he's going to say, we've got a job to do. We can't be distracted by this. Yet at the same time, some players will be thinking, and it'll still be in the media. Media will ask those questions, and so it might at one point get to a distraction because of that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and then obviously it's not the same thing when you have your coach around and when you have the assistant, because he's not 100% dialed down on how the team actually plays. Since most of the tactics, most of the changes involved, the one who analyzes the most the team, for the most part, is the head coach. So without the head coach, not even like present at the stadium, it's going to be difficult for this team. Now, will the Toros take advantage of this? I'm not sure, and it kind of sounds harsh saying the word "take advantage," but in the world of soccer, all we care about is what's on the field. And if on the field the head coach is not on there, Toros have to take advantage of that in order to try and get a much needed win, especially away.
Exactly. We don't have an away win. We need points because we're not getting those points that we need at home. We're only getting 1 point. Mm-hmm. And we've had plenty of opportunities to even get 3 points on the road too. You look at Fresno, where you draw 2-2 and then maybe a goal that was disallowed from RGV. So that's 3 points that they could have gotten. They are closer and closer in maturing more and more and more, that this game could be their golden ticket to getting those 3 points on the road.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the biggest question would be how much meddling the Dynamo is going to have because of the Open Cup, and we'll talk about it more in a little bit as to why. But I do also want to point out that the USL has actually come out and declared something about this specific problem with Mark Briggs, and they said that they were very saddened and disturbed by the allegations. The USL stands firmly against domestic violence and all forms of abuse and assault, adopting a zero-tolerance policy for players, staff, and front office personnel. So that pretty much says that it's going to be similar to Tyler Derrick. Until you're proven 100% innocent, you cannot come back to the USL. Because at the end, these players, not only are they representing the team, they're representing the league. And you have players or coaches or front office personnel with these problems. What's the first thing that the media always focuses on? Oh, well, this is da-da-da, and he is the head coach or whatever of certain team. So right there, you're tagging along with you the league and the team name. So you don't want that kind of publicity with you.
No, you don't want that publicity with you for sure. It's bad. It's not a good thing. And at the last time, it's just going to bring bad media, like you said.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be good.
Yeah, and it's something that really, really, with a growing league such as the USL, that's the last thing you really need. People want to wrongly associate yourself, you as a league, you as a team, with somebody with domestic violence charges. So I think it's a good idea by the USL, just like MLS did with Tyler Derrick, until you get it sorted out in the courts, because in the end, the people who are supposed to handle these cases are the courts. So let the professionals figure out if you're innocent or you're guilty. Until then, you can't come back. How long is it going to take for Real Monarchs? Not sure. Might take a couple of days, might take a couple of weeks, maybe months. We don't know. But in the meantime, the Toros play against them next Monday. So we have to hit them with what we got. And speaking with hitting with what we got, oh my God, that can be taken not the best context. But anyways, so let's take a look how the Real Monarchs are doing right now in the league. And Real Monarchs right now, they're doing really, really well. They have 9 wins, 2 draws, and 1 loss. And that loss came against the Tampa Bay Rowdies. And so you're talking about a team that right now in the standings is pretty high up there. You have, when it comes to the player stats, the goal scorers are, you have Kalen Ryden, who's got 4 goals. So here's the interesting part. With LA Galaxy 2, we went up against a team that the goal scoring was with 2 different players. The majority of the goals scored by LA Galaxy 2 were by Zubac or by Efrain Alvarez. Not in this case. So it's going to be a lot more difficult for the Toros defense to understand what they need to do. Why? Because their scoring, their goals are distributed almost evenly throughout their offense. You have, like I said, Kalen Ryden with 4 goals, Chandler Hoffman, who Dynamo fans should remember that name. Chandler Hoffman used to be with the Dynamo. He has 3 goals. Sebastian Velasquez with 3 goals as well. Mastanaval Keisher with 2 goals. Juan Ignacio Mare with 2 goals. Michael Chang with 2 goals. And everybody else has 1 goal or less. So that is going to be a problem for the Toros. Who are you going to mark? Who do you have to focus with? And Jerson Echeverry really got to pretty much analyze this Real Monarchs team to see what they're going to do.
Exactly. The good thing is, though, that we have seen the defense improve. The only difference was that we saw a change in the defense when we played LA Galaxy 2. Of course, there was some help from the Houston Dynamo in that defensive area that we didn't really need because we had seen that gel before. We did talk about it last week with that whole situation. But at that same time, we just have this good back line that has been doing okay. The only problem is, and we've talked about this week in and week out, is when RGVFC loses possession, then they get scared and they try and get the ball back, but it takes time. And so it's going to be interesting to watch, like you said, of what will happen, because will they be able to mark? That is a huge question. And they can mark. They've got that talent to. But the question is, will they be able to put that into form during the game and not allow a goal on the road?
That's really one of the points that we have to focus, because if you look at our away games, and whether it was with Portland, whether it was with Seattle, Colorado, and Fresno, our defense has not been able to show up. Yeah, they've shown up at home for the most part, but away, it's not looking good in the defense. Offense-wise, most of our goals have come in through from away games, so that you can see as a positive. Tendency this season says RGVFC score a lot of goals away, but they also get scored on a lot. The problem is they get scored on more than they actually make. So that is why we have not won on the road. We are 3 losses and 1 draw. So which team are we going to see in Real Salt Lake? Honestly, don't know, because there's Open Cup with the Dynamo. There's the game on Monday. We have a couple of suspensions with the Dynamo, as well as not only suspensions but injuries. And let's go ahead and talk about that. So, a couple hours ago, if not about an hour ago, it came to our attention here in Dynamo Land, here in Houston, that Alejandro Fuenmayor was suspended, I believe, for 2 games, and will not be eligible to play against Real Salt Lake today at 8 p.m. Our time. So that came to a surprise for everybody. Hey, no worries, Blues fan. You came in just in time. We're talking a little bit about the Dynamo. And I'm trying to mention this. Why? Because we talked about it last week, Jacob, if you recall, that the Dynamo have the majority of the players that are out for injuries are defenders. We have AJ De La Garza out, Felipe Senderos, George Malky, Dylan Remick, Kevin Garcia, Jarrett Watts. And now Adolfo Machado is out on international duty, and Fuenmayor is suspended for 2 games. So you're talking about 8 players in the defensive positions that are not eligible to play this game, or in a couple other games. What does this mean? I'm sorry, Toros Nation, but it's not good news for us, which means we will probably see Kyle Adams or Connor Donovan, or both, being called up to play for the Dynamo for a couple of weeks. Which means we're going to be left with Omar Ontiveros, Robert Castellanos, who else can play in the center back position? I think that's pretty much it, if I recall correctly, that are true center backs. So, and it also comes up to my attention, but Jacob, what do you have to say about that?
That's just been the year that it's been for the Toros, seeing a lot of players even go, and seeing Houston Dynamo just from that start, seeing them with their defensive woes, to be exact, with all those players gone. And it's going to be tough. The only good thing that I can really pull out for the Toros for this is that we will get some young players more minutes. We did see them play at Brownsville, a lot of the young players there. Mm-hmm. And it came to my attention from that game that they were pretty decent and got to gel. And so that's a good thing, that we'll see more of those players improve. And if later in the season that helps, that will probably help, even if Houston Dynamo, let's say, were to maybe make a long run in that Open Cup, which will probably not be the case in my opinion. But with that defense from Houston just being hurt, they need to get healthy, and they need to get healthy fast, or else it's just going to keep on hurting the Toros. And soon enough, we're not really going to have a Toros team. It's going to be all really Houston Dynamo just for their depth. And right now, Houston and the Toros don't have depth at all.
No, and we talked about that last week. So, the fact that both rosters are so stretched out right now because of, I believe, the lack of planning for I take that back, because really no team plans or would even think of planning for eight injuries or whatever for one specific portion of the game, or of the team. In this case, the defenders. Nobody could ever predict that was going to happen, but it happened. Now, the Toros roster isn't really all that in depth either in the defensive position. So now you're affecting, like you said, you're affecting the Toros in that you're taking away their best players in order to provide some depth for your MLS team. And so I'm not really that worried with our center back pairings, mostly because I feel that Omar Ontiveros and Robert Castellanos had been doing good. My problem is that these players were doing well when they were paired with another center back with experience. This time, we're more than likely going to see them, if this pans out like we think it is, we're going to see them playing together. And they don't really have that much, experience. If anything, Omar Ontiveros has a little bit more, but that's because he played for a while in Europe. So it's going to be, I don't know. I think that'll be the weakest link, and that'll continue to be, the tendency so far this season where it comes to away. Now, we're going to have to see the attack wake up, whether it's Matias Alivar, Pablo Aguilar, Chuy Enriquez, they have to show up. Zach Wright, they have to show up. Because Aldo Quintanilla has been doing well. He's been doing really well. He's scored a lot of goals. He's been very participative in play with goal scoring opportunities. But it's time everybody else, caught up to his level. And it's so much of a level that he is at right now that I'm hearing that Aldo Quintanilla right now is being looked at by the Houston Dynamo. Surprise, surprise.
He still needs time to mature. There's no reason to take these players unless you necessarily need them. And Aldo Quintanilla, in my opinion, doesn't really need to be needed that much from Houston. They can wait a little while longer because he just needs to mature a bit. I understand. Yes, Open Cup, that's fine. Take those players because they will mature. But in the sense, Aldo Quintanilla, he still needs to be with the Toros or at least have a two-way contract where you're sending him down almost every other week.
Well, what I've been hearing is that right now I think the Dynamo have kind of learned their lesson now that with them losing Charlie Ward, is that what they're doing differently is that they're just scouting him. Right now they're in scouting mode with Aldo Quintanilla. What does this mean? They're going to let him continue to develop, continue to mature here with RGVFC. They're not going to take a drastic, decision to right away come sign him, take him to the Dynamo, him not getting minutes. It seems that they're kind of slowly but surely learning from their mistakes, and I think if that's what's really going on, I welcome it. What does this? It means that Aldo Quintanilla, number one, is going to be more motivated to continue doing what he's doing because he is getting, he's fulfilling the eye, or he's catching the eye from the Houston Dynamo. Number two, that means that we'll have Aldo Quintanilla for at least till the end of the season, hopefully into next season. Why? Because there are rumors that the Dynamo are going to get a player, an international player for the attack position, which means that you will have some sort of a decent, at least in the short term, you'll have some decent depth finally with in the striker position in the Houston Dynamo, which means that if they keep Mac, if they keep Mauro Manotas, and if they actually do bring that international striker, there really will be no need for next season for the Dynamo to call Aldo Quintanilla. Now that's what we expect, or that's what we hope for. We don't know. We don't know if they're actually going to do what common sense dictates should.
Yeah, I agree there. They are slowly but surely learning their lesson, and it's just going to be interesting for that note. And there's not really much more to say. I think you really just hit it on the nail on the head right there.
Mm-hmm. So wonderful Sloth says Aldo is probably one of the most needed players the Toros need right now, and frankly, I've said it in many episodes, that is definitely the case. Because Aldo Quintanilla has been the difference maker out there in the offense. Because, like I said, Chuy Enriquez, He's doing well, like out on the wing, but when it comes to actually being clinical in his finishing or with his crossing, he kind of makes the wrong decisions. You know, he sometimes takes shots when he could have passed. Sometimes passes when he could have taken a shot. You know, but that's all part of the maturing process, which is what the Toros are for. But everybody else, whether it's Zach Wright, John Montano, Team Monday, which we really haven't seen much out of him, so I can't really be very critical of him. But when it comes to Zach Wright or Matias Saldivar, they have to do more. They have to get up to that level if we want to be a consistent team on the attack and not have it be like, for example, like one game we score a bunch of goals, and then next 3 or 4 games we're scoring 0 goals or we're just scoring 1 goal. And it's like Harry was telling, because I was talking to Harry for some other conversation, but it came up, that our woes are kind of similar, in which that the defense is doing okay, but you really need the offense to make enough goals to give you a cushion in case these kind of mistakes like RGV has been having, where in the last minute they score a goal. You need to have a cushion where, like, even if they score that goal, like in the last couple of minutes, you still have enough goals that you're still able to get the win. And right now, we're only making enough to get the ties. And if we really want to be competitive in the USL of today, that's not going to happen. So offense, like I said, get your act together and show us what you were brought here for. I have faith in you all, because if I did not have faith in your talent and in what you have to bring to the table, I would just sit here, cross my arms, and say, oh yeah, we're doing great, yeah, there's no worries, blah, blah, blah. No. You've come here because you had good reputation from the people that saw you develop. In social media, we'd get, tweets saying, oh, you know what, he's a good player. You just have to put him in your position. But he played well in college. Well, guess what? This isn't college anymore. So whatever you thought was your 100% in college has to be higher at the professional level. And it surprises me out of Saldivar, because he comes directly from the Argentinian league, which is already professional right then and there. So it's surprising to me that Matias Saldivar really has not found his groove with the USL. Now, could it be because it's a completely different style of play between USL and the Argentinian league? More than likely. So, but Gerson really has to find a way to get himself used to our style of play quickly, because if he's going to be the starter, or if he's going to be the first sub you're going to bring in, then we really need him to be on his toes if he wants to help this team.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's weird that we do see him not completely adapting to what needs to be adapted. Like you did say, he did come from the Argentine league. Yes, that is a different style of play. In my opinion, it's almost exactly like the USL in the sense that how known they are, really. And you get those young players, just like we got Tomas Martinez, for example, from Houston. Mm-hmm. It did take him a little while to get used to the style of play there. He did make a couple of sloppy fouls in the midfield, but now, like you said, that college level to now needs to be completely different. It needs to be higher. He needs to, right then and there, start playing well. He needs to get into that groove. Once we do see him, in a way, it's close to mid-season. So yes, that grace period has been completely over for that player. He just needs to do better in training, and he just needs to get used to how we play down here or down in the USL, because it's American soccer. It's not Argentine soccer.
And you know what? Like you said, we're nearing mid-season. time is running out if we want to make it to the playoffs. Right now, we are 7 points away from 8th place, which is Reno 1868. We have played 11 matches, just one less than Reno. Las Vegas Lights, who is right ahead of us, tied with points, has one match played less than we do. So we really have to get these 3 points as consistently as possible if we want to make it to the playoffs, like Gerson Echeverry said, because he did say, and I quote, "If we do not win the championship, it is a failure on our part." So, I mean, they are his words. Honestly, if you want to be truthful, it's a process. I trust this process. Trust me, I really do. But it just seems that they have the potential is much more than just making it to playoffs. The potential of this team, they just have to unlock it in order to fulfill their potential. I would love for the potential to be unlocked during this season. We make it to the playoffs, and hopefully make a deep run. But
exactly. Yeah, making a deep run would be nice. Making the playoffs, first of all, is also really nice to see, because we've been out of the playoffs for a year now, and we had a terrible, terrible season. It just takes a simple win. It takes a confidence boost on the road. If we can get those 3 points on the road with a shortened up RGVFC team, that is huge, because you bring out that confidence that you didn't have before. We can win without these players. It's nice to have that feeling that if they're away, you still have that comfort. That's what this team, in a way, doesn't have at the moment. They still think we need those Houston Dynamo players. Well, guess what, RGVFC? You're not going to get them. So you have to come out playing your butts off throughout the rest of this season, because we know you're capable. If we didn't know that you were capable, we wouldn't give you guys such a hard time, but yet we do.
Definitely. I mean, last year it was so, like, for example, it was to a point where, like, the team was faltering a lot. Like, yes, we needed the Dynamo players. We needed Mames. We needed Charlie. We needed... But this year, with the type of players that we have for the most part throughout the starting 11 and the bench players, some of the bench players, you're talking about having Jorginho James on the bench, who was a starter for 2017, the beginning of 2017, a couple of games in 2016. You have Kai Green on the bench as well, who's been a starter for these past 2 days, or these past two seasons. You have, if I'm not mistaken, you also have Jordan Jones. Jordan Jones, the super sub, you can say, because he connects with Aldo Quintanilla so well. This roster in some cases is so well thought out, that you have starter material on the bench. Why? Because the young players you brought in came in and showed Gerson Echeverry, hey, I don't care if you've been here for 2 years, but I have proven to be better than you, which means I have won my starting 11 for at least this week, because I have the talent to bench these veterans per se. You got Nico Perea. I mean, you got Nico Perea who benched Jorginho Jones. Manny Padilla benching Kai Green. Kyle Adams benching Derek Luke. Chuy Enriquez benching. What do we got? Actually, no, we don't. Other than that, if anything, like I've said many times, it's the wingers that we're kind of lacking. But other than that, this team is pretty was built with enough thought to have the potential to not really need Dynamo players. We're not needing Mames, not needing Max Steves. It's just that they have to. Everybody has to untap that potential. In theory, it'd be great. We didn't really need to even call the Dynamo to send us players, but everybody's got to put their work if that wants to happen. And I think RGVFC fans, that's what they want. We don't want the Dynamo meddling with our rosters. We don't want the Dynamo to say, okay, we're sending you these players, but you have to put them in a certain amount of time. And then the worst part is, they send them down when like a day before, when they haven't even practiced with the team. So that hurts our chemistry.
Exactly. It's ridiculous that, they do that sometimes, but now, like you've even said, this team is more than capable. Of course, a couple of times I've questioned with how Jerson has subbed with this team, not putting in Jorginho James when we could use him for a couple of games as a super sub as well. We have plenty of subs that are more than capable of being that type of quote-unquote super sub. And it's fantastic. Of course, you have this full-around team. We know that a couple of them will be gone for that match to help Houston Dynamo. And so then you bring on those bench warmers, yes, that are fantastic. They are starter material. You put them on, and boom, you've got yourself basically another starting 11 that is worth it, that is as talented, if not as maybe a bit more talented than those starters that have been before. Why do I say that? Because I've seen them play before, and they've been fantastic. They've been great. They've been match fit, and that's what you need for a team. It's just that matter of let's start winning. Let's start figuring this thing out together and making this type of run.
Yeah, and it's going to be difficult, especially because Real Monarchs are undefeated at home. They have 5 wins and 1 draw. That draw came against Las Vegas Lights, and that was a 0-0 match. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at what Real Monarchs, before we go on break and start talking about the World Cup. Let's go ahead and take a look at the lineup that the Real Monarchs came up with against Sacramento Republic. And that way we'll see who's going to have to guard who. So Real Monarchs came out with 4-2-3-1. Sounds similar, right? So you have Juan Ignacio Mare as a starting striker. You have Ricky Lopez Espin as the left winger. Richard Ledesma, center attacking midfield. Michael Chang as the right winger. Charlie Adams and Justin Portillo as your central defensive midfielders. Kalen Ryden as the left back. Michael Gallagher, center back. James Smallberg, center back. Andrew Brody, right back. And Jake Leaker as the goalkeeper. Hopefully, he lives up to his last name against the Toros, if you know what I mean. But you're really talking about, a team that at least on paper comes out similar to the Toros.
Yeah, that team is very impressive. It's a really good team that we kind of expected this because, yes, Salt Lake City, that is a tough place to play at no matter if you're the RGVFC Toros or the Houston Dynamo. I know that the Dynamo have had trouble there as well. They just always have good teams, and they've got good fan support behind them. Luckily, it's did you say a Monday game, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, Monday night game, so it might be a lower crowd. Those schools will be starting to let out, especially, so might be kids there. But at the same time, it just takes that talent. It takes that extra step. You're playing basically that same formation that the Real Monarchs are. So you can match up that way, and of course, just find your openings. That those keys come with make your back line fine, get up a goal, get an early goal if you can. If you find space, take it. Take those shots that are open. Don't just try and pass and find that extra pass sometimes, unless it's necessary. And so things like that, it will help.
Now, interesting to point out, I mentioned a little bit earlier on the show that Kalen Ryden is their leading goal scorer. Guess what? He's the left back. He's not the striker. He's the left back. So Matias Aldivar or Manny Padilla, whoever's out there on the right, on our right side of the field, have got to keep a good eye on Kalen Ryden, because what this tells me is that he is a Marcelo kind of player, in which he'll go out and help out on the attack and is effective inside the box as well. So they have to keep a really close attention on him.
Yeah, exactly. Got to keep a really good close attention on him. Like you said, Marcelo, things like that is who he's similar to. At the same time, you got to be careful with possession. You can't let this team counterattack. That's what it sounded like. This team loves to counter on shots, and that's why you've been getting, or that's why they've had so many goals, because you've seen it before. Those counterattacks are lethal. It's happened to RGVFC. That's why RGVFC ended up drawing against LA Galaxy 2, and just those little things like that. When you get that speed, that second burst of energy from those center backs and those left backs and right backs that help out into the box, it's going to be dangerous. And that's one thing that is RGVFC's flaw. So they will really have to keep a good eye and watch out for those counterattacks and just keep possession.
So interesting to point out as well is that if you take a look at the average position on the USL website, you look at Kalen Ryden, his average position is right on the midfield line, which means he constantly goes up and goes down. So he's a player that would be perfect, you can say, in a 5-man line, because he has that size of not only going up and helping the attack, and like I said, coming down to defend. The right back, Andrew Brody, does not go up so much, which means that for the most part, at least looking at this, you kind of look at it and say, you know what? It looks like Real Monarchs' tendency on attack is through the left side. Which is similar, once again, with the Toros. Is that the Toros also have a tendency to attack through the left with Chuy Enriquez. Now, the problem is that unlike Real Monarchs, the Toros do not have our right or our left back go up and help on the attack. Now, what does this mean? It means that when Chuy Enriquez has the ball, opponents tend to have 2 or maybe 3 players on Chuy Enriquez to try to take the ball away. With Real Monarchs, you have 2 players going up on the attack. So you really aren't pretty much getting your opponent to do a 2v1 against your attacker. So he has a tendency, you have the ability to pass the ball down and kind of not get choked up so much in one specific area. So it will be interesting to see how this works out, if they are going to try and do that against the Toros. Now, the thing is that the best way to counter this kind of formation or this kind of tactic is having them worry so much about defending that right back or left back does not have to move, cannot go up on the attack for fear of leaving a space behind that the Toros can take advantage of. Now, we might see something where Aldo Quintanilla might move over to the right side of the field and have Pablo Aguilar kind of acting like a false 9 and using that. But the player who is there technically in that position, maybe it'll be like what's his name, Matias Aldivar. So um, that's pretty much it for what we have for the Real.
Hey man, good evening. How are you?
Real good, real good. Just pretty much finishing in that regard before we go with the Ray.
Not really. Besides, they just need to be focused on that game. It's gonna be a different lineup, we know for sure, and it's gonna be interesting. Of course, I think what Jerson might end up doing is Jerson may end up using some height in that lineup, and what I mean is bringing in Jorginho James because the times that I've seen him play, and he's probably matured in this way, is using his height. I've seen him use his height well. He has a burst of speed that you don't suspect. Of course, it's mainly in the middle, but he can go in wide. And if we use that wide area and try and help play from that to try and get inside the box, we can use him for height over defenders and try and get maybe a header into goal. Because I have noticed, especially when RGVFC does get possession of that ball and they go and they start to pressure that opposition, they do end up getting corners. I believe the last game they got around 8 corners and weren't able to put one of them into the back of the net. With Jorginho James, you might be able to put one of those set pieces into the back of the net with his height.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of the Houston Dynamo and Real Salt Lake City, the starting 11 for the Dynamo, just going to want to put it out there, has already come up. You have Willis on goal, DeMarcus Beasley as a captain, playing in the left back, Leonardo and Jared Watts, center backs. And then right back, you have Adam Lundqvist, the Swede. Then you have Boney and Alexander as your defensive midfielders, Tomas Martinez, the center attacking midfielder, as the number 10, and Ramel Kyoto, Mauro Manotas, and Albert Thalys up on top.
It's a really good lineup from Houston.
And guess who's back on the bench?
Alvarez.
Memo.
Nope. Kevin Garcia. On the bench is Mames. Yes, Mames is there. Chris Seitz, Andrew Wenger, Arturo Alvarez, Luis Gil, Kevin Garcia, and Eric Bird.
Yeah, and those are the players that needed to be put on the bench. Houston doesn't have that depth, and so it's nice to see that those players are getting used. I think it's all because of that, but at the same time, they can help that team so well.
Yeah, so let's hope we can actually see them there. I really want to see Eric Bird, but I highly doubt it because you have Alvarez and Hill in front of him pretty much. If anything, we'll probably see Mames, we'll probably see Andrew Wenger, and we'll probably see Luis Gil coming in. So Kevin and Eric will probably not see minutes. However, Wilmer proved me wrong. I guess it kind of depends on how the match goes.
Here's a bold take that I will say on this. If Houston grabs a nice early comfortable lead and Wilmer Cabrera decides to park that bus, I wouldn't be surprised to see a Kevin Garcia off the bench just to solidify that lead.
Yeah. So you'll probably see what five men in the back line.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, we're gonna be going on our first break. It is almost going to be the top of the hour, so we're gonna go on. I guess you can say a break until 8 o'clock. When we come back, we're gonna go full on with the World Cup. So don't go away just yet. The party is just beginning. So be right back.
I can feel it, rushing through my veins. Love's the only drug I know.
What's all that traveling that you're doing?
Let the silhouette cast upon your heart, turning every little moment into scars. Baby, it's our chance to make a start, so we can fly. I know that we will make it. I know that we will make it. I know that we will make it. I know that we. I know that we can make it through the night, but I can feel the fire inside, so there won't be no fear tonight. We crossed the line, and now it's clear to see the light.
All right, guys, welcome back to Down in the Valley. My name is Edson Ochoa, if you probably don't know. Then we also have Jacob Young. And now we have joining us Ray Silva and Cesar Cortez, who are our other contributors for Down in the Valley, which, by the way, Down in the Valley, brought to you by Wendy's. Take advantage of 50-cent Frosties, and also brought to you by FarmersOnly.com. That's an inside joke, guys. We're not really sponsored by them.
No.
Just wanted to point that out. I just felt that it was. I just wanted to bring it up, kind of like as a running gag or something.
Somewhere down in the talent, Jacob Young must be blushing.
Jesus, guys. All right. Okay, then. But who really does help bring us to you are our friends at the Beautiful Game Network. So be sure to follow them at the BGNFM on Twitter. They also have a Facebook page, the Beautiful Game Network. Check out their website, www.bgn.fm. While you're there, check out other podcasts like Sock Takes, as well as the Backchat Show, Rising as One, and other USL podcasts. Make sure to give them a try. You know, we're all quality podcasts. I really say that you're going to enjoy them. And you know, it's good to learn about what fans from other USL teams are thinking right now, how their team is doing. I know there are some that are really not doing that great, but right now, we're leaving the USL. We're getting on a plane, and we're going to go to Russia because we're now going to talk about the World Cup. Woo! Da-da. Yeah. So, interesting to point out that it seems, I don't know why, but it seems that there really isn't that much of a hype for the World Cup this year.
Because you're in the U.S. and the U.S. aren't in it.
Well, not even Mexico. Not
Because Mexico sucks.
Yes, Mexico this year, and let's just start off with El Tri. No lie,
Jake,
their
I'm
lineup
high-fiving you.
lineup
Hold on,
through
wait, what?
this.
Do it again.
Hold on, air high five. Yeah.
But no lie, throughout this whole season for El Tri, they have not played their best soccer. You
That's
have
an
a
understatement.
poor goalkeeper that hasn't been showing up so far, and then your best player has been pretty slow. This whole team, even when they played well, wasn't real, or they're going to, but they just haven't shown that their old Mexico self. Plus, they're in a tough group this year with South Korea and Germany.
And Sweden.
I'm probably forgetting one more team, but it's a tough
Sweden.
group for them.
Yeah. So interesting to point out. I actually want to take it because now we're talking about the World Cup and we're talking about El Tri specifically. Is that Sloth also pointed out? What do you all think of? Who was it? Was it Newsweek or who? They have
Sports Illustrated.
Sports Illustrated has El Tri as their cover, and calling it America's other team.
Yeah, they've got that
I wanted
cover.
to
They've
puke.
got the Egyptian cover too.
Say again, Ray.
I wanted to puke once I saw that cover. The America's other team.
Hey,
I want to puke so bad.
but they're not wrong. Because when it comes to numbers, you're talking about, yes, there's so many people in the United States that support El Tri. So technically, it is America's number 2 team because you have Mexican Americans, so many Mexican Americans, so many Mexican immigrants that support El Tri. So if you want to be technical about it, yes. Now, does that sound right? Obviously not, because it should not be other than the U.S. national team who should be labeled America's team. It's just sad.
Well, look how many
Yeah.
times El3 has played in AT&T Center.
Say again?
I said, look how many times El3 has won in AT&T Center.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? You know, the Mexican national team plays so many games in the United States, whether it's in Dallas, whether it's here in Houston, whether it's in California. But most of their games are played in the United States. They're not played in Mexico. And if they are played in Mexico, it's usually in Estadio Azteca. But why? You're probably asking why. Why is the Mexican national team playing in other countries? You don't see Spain playing most of their games in other countries. You don't see Germany playing most of their games, whether it's friendlies, whether it's tournaments in other countries. It's only Mexico. Why? Because the money is here. Because the people here, the Mexican fans here in the United States, will pay almost anything to go and watch the Mexican national team. It doesn't matter if it's in Jerry World, doesn't matter where it's at the Levi Stadium or here at NRG Center. People are gonna pay for tickets to go see El Tri, no matter what. And in the end, we've said it many times here on this podcast, money talks, especially for the Mexican Soccer Federation.
Exactly. And there's just so much more to even talk for that. Why do so many Mexican nationalists move to the United States? For better opportunities, for more money. It just goes back to what you're saying as well. Not to mention that it's just so corrupt over there, the government and things like that, and so it's tough to have those big time games.
I don't think it's a matter of corruption. There is a lot of corruption within the federation, and we see it how they're running the league, the Ascenso and Liga MX. But the more importantly is that you said it over there. The opportunities aren't that great. The people don't earn as much money. The people over there are not going to pay $50, are not going to pay $75, are not going to pay $100 to go see El Tri. Most of them, a lot of them, try to take advantage of gimmicks by the sponsors to get in for free. And you see it when they play again in El Estadio Azteca. If you guys notice, behind the goals, you usually see like a white, like a space where like people are wearing white, and there's like a neon green M in the middle of it. That is people that are paid by Movistar which is a cell phone cam company over there, to go to the game, to sit there wearing, pretty much, white clothes or neon green clothes to provide an extra ad board space per se in the broadcast.
I saw that done actually in the Bundesliga. I think it was for T-Mobile.
Yeah, go ahead and keep on talking, guys.
Yeah, it just goes back.
All right, guys. Sorry, I'm back. So it's just that they just posted the Dynamo lineups on TV, and Sean was telling me it would be interesting if they already knew about Fuenmayor's suspension, which is the reason why Lundqvist and Jared Watts were started with the Dynamo against again. Oh my God, with the Toros against LA Galaxy 2. But anyway, back to the World Cup. But yeah, that's pretty much how it is with El Tri. And right now, El Tri, you mentioned it, and I'm a Mexico fan. I'm a El Tri fan.
Right there with you.
I also support the U.S. national team, guys. Don't get mad at me too much, but I have to say, with Osorio, I'm gonna make my bold prediction right now. Mexico does not make it out of the group stage.
Yeah,
That's how
I agree. I agree.
I have to agree with that.
It's such a tough group, and South Korea has proven in the past World Cups too that they have made it challenging for teams to escape their grasp.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're gonna play Germany. Mexico's obviously going to play Germany, and Germany is they're the past World Cup champions, and they are on form to basically do that again because of how fierce their team has always been. And so,
And let's not
right
forget
there,
that they won the
you must have-
Confederations Cup.
exactly, and the way that they won the Confederations Cup, especially playing Mexico, wasn't that pretty. I think it was like a 4-0 or a 4-1 victory over them,
Yes.
something like that.
And you're
And
talking
so-
and with their C team.
Yes, exactly. With a C team. So with their A team, that's going to be a totally different game right there. So that's one loss for them. They will need to most likely draw or beat the tough South Korean team. And I forget what that last team
Sweden.
is in that group.
Yeah, it's Sweden. So,
Oh, Sweden. Exactly.
Yeah.
Sweden. That's another really difficult European team.
and from what I've heard, they're playing better without Zlatan.
Yeah. Zlatan he will always bring problems to the teams that he plays with. And of course, it was almost like that Messi thing with Argentina when he just left. I think in a way Argentina kind of played better without him too, because it was a less distraction. When you get those stars, when you get away from the media and those stars, I think your team just is able to just focus a lot better. And so the way that Sweden played against Italy in that playoff game to make it there, they played really well too. And so they're a playoff team with momentum coming up. So it's going to be interesting. But yes, I do see it being Germany and Sweden moving on.
Okay, yeah, we kind of got a little bit ahead of ourselves with that. That's good. That's okay. So you say it'll be Sweden and Germany for Mexico's group.
Yes.
So one of the things I do want to point out is that it really irks me when you have all these people defend Juan Carlos Osorio saying, "Oh, but we pretty much won. We qualified for the World Cup really easily. Blah 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 blah." I'm like, that's the minimum. That is the minimum what we should expect from the Mexican national team, making qualifying with these. Well, guess what? When it really counted, 7-0 against Chile in the Copa America Centenario, 4-1 against Germany in the Confederations, and you're talking about tournaments of higher elite than the
And
CONCACAF
not only that,
qualifiers.
but you also get bounced by Jamaica in the semifinals of a Gold Cup.
Yes. So
Even though, yes, that was their B team, but it still counts.
yeah, I mean, definitely. You would expect from the Mexican national team. Everybody's saying, "Oh, well, it's because the Mexican national team is so good. We have so many players. This is like the golden age as far as talent." You would expect that, like, even their B team to play almost as good as the A team. And guess what? Both, whether the A team or the B team, much less the C team, suck. Why? Because there's no consistency. There is no chemistry in this team. You have Juan Cambios Osorio putting players in positions where they don't belong. Never repeating a starting 11. Not even, and that's what irks me more. Not even in official tournaments. You would expect that a team has a base squad to play in tournaments. And that's the squad you're going to use barring an injury or a suspension. Then you'd put in another player. But you would expect to see a consistent lineup in tournaments. Maybe in friendlies, okay, yes. Friendly, that's what they're for, to figure out, who you should continue to call, who should you not continue to call. But when it comes to qualifiers and official tournaments, especially short tournaments like the World Cup, like the Confederations, like the Gold Cup, you need chemistry. And Juan Cambios Osorio does not bring that. And that is exactly why we've had results like that 7-0, like that 4-1, being eliminated by Jamaica.
Yeah, exactly. And it just reminds me of this, and it's a perfect analogy to use. Mexico is like the Texas Longhorns. Why do I bring them up? Because of the fact it's the name. Texas UT is known for their greatness at American football and things like that, but now they've gone downhill. Why? Because the players are kind of spoiled and their coaches aren't great. They've had top recruiting classes over the past years that the Texas Longhorns have, and they haven't shown anything from that. And it just reminds me of that reminds me of Mexico, because they do have that talent. They've got those young players, as well as, of course, the United States. But they've got those young players. They got that talent. You qualify for that CONCACAF Champions League, great. That's like qualifying for a bowl in college football. You still need to win that. You still need to advance into the round of 16. But the way that they play, the way that they're kind of coached, it's poor.
Yeah, definitely. So I do have to agree with you. Let's go ahead and leave Group F for now. Germany and Sweden will make it to the next round. Ray?
You know what? I am going to go with Germany and Sweden as well. No surprises for me.
Cesar?
And however, this is my bold claim for this group.
Okay.
Mexico finishes dead last.
Wow. And you know what? Another thing I do want to bring up about Mexico, Juan Carlos Osorio said he's not going to return. Number one, good riddance. Number two, he doesn't care what happens anymore. He's already out of the Mexican Federation anyway. So if they win it, if they finish it last, it don't matter to him. He's already got his money. Cesar, what is your prediction? Group F.
As much as I support F3, and for as long as I've been supporting it, it's really hard to disagree with, the facts on paper. Thing is, saying how easily they qualified for the World Cup, but like you said, that doesn't count. And the way Juan Carlos Osorio has been, I don't know if I can really say managing, because it doesn't seem like that at all.
Yeah.
But my official prediction is actually going to be, Germany and Sweden.
All right.
Mexico at least finishing third.
Yeah, I see the same thing. So let's go ahead and start with Group A. In Group A, we have Egypt, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and Uruguay.
Group A.
Jacob.
This is a fantastic group I'm looking at right now. I actually, yeah, Egypt, Russia. I mean, for Egypt, for just starters, you have Mohamed Salah, and then you have a lot of these players that are kind of unknown in a way, but they're actually really good. They brought their team there for a reason. It's almost like the Houston Dynamos, how they remind me of, because they don't really have that talent, but at the same time, they're able to make it to this World Cup for their almost first time in a long time.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. And then Russia with obviously the host nation, you have that talent right there. Saudi Arabia, the only tough team that really strikes me, but I mean Russia will be a tough team for Egypt and Saudi Arabia, but the tougher team, because you have Luis Suarez, is Uruguay. And Uruguay, they're known for success. They're known from South America for getting out of their groups constantly and pushing maybe even to the Final Four. And so that's just a big thing right there for Uruguay, Russia. I think the top three teams for sure would be Uruguay, Russia, and Egypt. Yeah, I believe. Yeah, I believe his recovery time is.
But my regular one stands. Uruguay, Egypt.
All right, let me go ahead and write this down.
And-
Uruguay and Egypt.
And on another side note, Russia will probably have a domestic-based roster, which would probably have like several names scattered through Europe, but the base majority of their players will probably come from the Russian Premier League.
Yeah. Okay. So. Okay. No, it's just that I muted the microphone for myself. Sloth, don't worry about it.
What group is this?
Okay. So basically, what's going on? So before we go on any further, so this is what's going to happen. So right now, we're all of us, whether it's all four of us, and I think Sean actually wants to participate in this, and that is, like I mentioned in the chat. So what's gonna happen is we're gonna analyze each group. We're gonna mention the two teams that will advance from the group stages. And what's gonna happen each, for every team that you get right, that's 1 point. When you get to the knockoffs, once you see what the brackets are gonna be, you will choose one from each bracket. For every one you get right, that's a point. That's an additional point for you, and so on until you get to the final. Now, for 5 additional points, before we end the stream, we're all gonna say who we have as our favorite for the World Cup champion. Whoever gets it right gets 5 additional points. The winner, the one who has the most points, is gonna earn a prize. Are you all in?
I'm in.
And
I am in for sure. Yeah.
Sean, you in?
Oh, of course I'm in. Are you kidding me?
All right. So, Sean, we started with Group F because it was Mexico's. Who do you have advancing?
I need to know who's in that group because I don't remember the
That
groups
is
offhand.
Mexico, Sweden, South Korea, and Germany.
Germany and Mexico.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting to point out. All right. So, Ray, you mentioned Uruguay and Egypt, right?
Yes.
Jacob, who did you say?
Yes, Uruguay and Egypt.
Cesar, what are your takes on the group A?
like you mentioned before, this is a pretty, I can't say decent, because this is a really great group that we have here. Russia, I honestly think they're going to have a bit of a home field advantage with them being the host this year's World Cup. Egypt, on the other hand, are going to have a bit of a edge. They've got so many players in MLS too, and we've seen that. Saudi Arabia, not too keen on them. Uruguay is a bit of a giant, actually, when you think about it. But my pick is going to be for Egypt and Russia advancing.
Oh, wow.
Here's my take.
Ooh, man.
Uruguay and Russia. Because I do not think that that FIFA or the Russian Federation would want their team, their national team, out in the group stage. So I think we might see some shoddy referee, and that's me thinking wrong. But I think that it's going to be Russia and Uruguay. Now, when it comes to 100% sport, like what's on the field, I would definitely say Egypt if they get Mohamed Salah back, and Uruguay.
Yeah, well, they should get Mohamed Salah back because of the fact that his heal time for that clavicle fracture will be there. Doctors and media are saying for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks he will be out, and when he comes back, that should give him plenty of time to get back to where he was before. And let's, for that Russia thing that you said for the FIFA Confederation, remember who the president was at that time when Russia became announced that they were going to host the 2018 World Cup. It's not the FIFA president that we have now. That's for sure.
That is true.
Right. He was less corrupt than our current one. I mean, what? Huh? What?
Sean, your takes.
I completely agree. This is a very intriguing group. I expect Salah back by game 2 of the group stage. And I'm kind of with Edson on this one. I don't think FIFA and Russia. I don't think Russia would have been awarded this World Cup if Russia was planning to be knocked out in the group stage. So I'm going to go Russia and Egypt because I think that Salah can be that difference maker for Egypt that can take them to that next tier on the international world stage.
Okay. All right. Group B, we have Iran, Morocco, Portugal, and Spain. There's really no doubt of this.
Iran and Morocco. Come on, man. Just kidding. That's not my picks. Please don't write those down.
That's a classic World Cup game right there. Morocco, Iran.
Yeah, that one's gonna have all the attendance. Everybody showing up to watch those two powerhouses fight it out.
All right.
Without a doubt, in my mind, those two for the final.
So, all right. So we'll go ahead and start with Ray. Your picks.
No, we're going to Group C. What are you talking about? We already discussed this.
Portugal comes second in the group, and Spain wins it. However, Iran will win the arms race when it comes to trading off with Morocco.
All right. So you said Spain and Portugal, right?
Yeah.
All right, Jacob.
Yeah, Spain and Portugal, and finally Spain will have that luck that they had before. Though I do see this probably happening. Cristiano Ronaldo will get injured from Sergio Ramos in that World Cup because of that.
That'll be awkward. All right, Cesar.
Portugal, Spain, as the top two, but I think Portugal is actually going to win this one.
Oh, Interesting.
Sean?
Spain, Portugal in that order. So are we also predicting at the end of this? Are we also predicting who the third place teams are going to be that are going to advance? Because there will be third place teams.
How many are they?
2 from each side, I believe, advance. 2 third place teams advance from each side.
What? No, this isn't the expanded World Cup yet.
No, that's how they do this. I'm not joking. That's how they did it last World Cup. 2 third place teams in the World Cup from each side of the bracket will advance.
Oh yeah. That's right. Yeah, the 2 third place teams from each side. I do recall that. Yes.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you.
I totally forgot about that. I was thinking, is it happening or is it not happening? But okay.
I'd like to think I know a little bit about soccer. Thanks, guys. Thanks for validating that for me.
All right, guys. So we're moving on. Moving on to Group C. You have Australia, Denmark, France, and Peru.
Ironically, before we get into this, the Dynamo pregame is actually talking about World Cup 2018 right now on the TV.
So
That's kind of cool.
we did it first.
That's right. We started this before they did. Okay, so who are the 4 teams again?
Australia, Denmark, France, and Peru.
I'll take first dibs at this one. It's going to be, man, that's an interesting group as well. Peru is going to surprise somebody. And who was the first team?
Australia.
The second team? Sorry.
Denmark.
Ooh. I don't think France advanced. I don't think they're good enough this time. So it's going to be Denmark.
Interesting. All right. I'm going to have to go with Peru
Oh.
and France.
All right. Yeah, I'll be surprised if anybody else has the guts to actually take anyone other than France advancing, or to say France is not advancing basically out of this group.
Ray.
All right. Seeing Peru with what they're dealing with their 37-year-old captain Paolo Guerrero. He was through and through with them throughout qualifying. This is going to be a wild card Peru team that we're going to get. The Danes will have to rely on Eriksson to get them their scoring. French, I actually kind of see them winning this group. And here's my first surprise. I actually kind of see Australia making some noise out of this group.
Oh, that's interesting. That's
I like
interesting.
Australia's group. I mean, only because they're a seasoned team. They've got some very interesting players playing in Europe with Miles Jednadak, Tim Cahill. They've got a forward playing in the Scottish League that's been somewhat tearing it up. And they also got Aaron Moy, the guy from Huddersfield Town. If they can get going in their first group game and actually getting a positive result, I can see Australia making it out of the group.
So, yeah. So who do you have? So you have Australia, and who else?
Yeah, who's your second? I'm assuming
I
France.
have France winning the group, followed by Australia coming in second. I think Peru is going to be done in only because they don't have their inspirational captain in Paolo Guerrero.
That is true. That is going. I think that's going to affect them, to some degree, not having their captain. So Jacob.
All right. Well, yeah. Obviously, I see France winning this group for sure. I think France has enough in them to win. They still have that start power that they normally do have. They still have that young kid from 4 years ago that has been really well. And then, of course, it's always that second team that will throw you off. It's always that second team that's going to be really difficult. And, of course, all you really need to do in a World Cup is win, draw, and lose. That will most likely advance you for sure. But it's going to be a problem. I know for sure that Australia, in my opinion, will do a lot better than how they did last World Cup and probably maybe end up winning a game. So I hate to really pick what Ray's saying, but I think Australia has enough to make it for that second team in that group. So France and Australia will be my two teams.
Okay. Cesar?
I have to agree with what everybody's been saying here. France is going to be my number one, while Australia is going to be my second.
France and Australia. All right. So we have.
That's a very divided group right there.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty much 3 against 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to Group D, we have Argentina, Croatia, Iceland, and Nigeria. Sean.
Oh man, Croatia are such a good team. Nigeria and who was the first team? Oh, Argentina. And Argentina.
Iceland.
I so every fiber of my being wants Iceland to advance, but that's just such a tough group to advance in, and Nigeria are so talented. I think Argentina actually comes second in this group. I think Nigeria take first in this group.
Nigeria first, Argentina second.
Yeah,
That is bold.
that's Nigeria are good enough to do it.
All right. Ray.
Oh boy. Jeez, am I gonna have to start another divide and conquer type of speech here? Look, Croatia, they've had the worst luck in the world when it comes to group stage. You know, 4 years ago they were stuck in a group with Brazil, Mexico, Croatia, and someone else.
I want to say Germany was part of that group. That group was
No.
That group.
It was Spain.
It was Spain. That group, though, when they were drawing that group, it just made me sick to my stomach because that was such a hard group to watch. Just knowing that one of the top 3 teams in that group were going to be gone.
Let me get that for you right now.
No, he's right.
No,
it was
I
Spain.
don't think.
It was Spain.
Cameroon.
Oh,
No,
Cameroon.
It was
Cameroon.
Brazil, Mexico,
Cameroon.
Croatia, and Cameroon.
Man, you know, I'm going to start a divide and conquer here. You know, Argentina, they're just coming in with so much pressure. You know, their defensive line is going to be such an issue for them. I mean, they have a nice countering attack building for them. But here's my divide and conquer speech. I do not see Argentina making it out of this group. Only reason being because it's their defensive back line that has hurt them that hurt them during qualifying, and it's going to rear its ugly head. So I kind of see Croatia and Iceland making it out of this group.
Wow.
Whoa. All right, then.
Jacob.
Well, I can't be that bold for sure. I see where he's coming from with the Argentina stuff, but if we got to remember, they still have technically the second best player in the world. Yes, that's debatable for another time, but I think I agree. I have to agree with a lot of people that are saying that Cristiano Ronaldo at the moment is still number one.
You're wrong. You're wrong, Jacob. Mohamed Salah is the top player in the world right now. Ronaldo is a close second, and Messi's becoming a very far distant third. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Yeah.
Like we said.
If only things were different in the Champions League. That's all I'm gonna say to that
You're
note.
not wrong.
But yeah, Argentina just they still have that. They still have Lionel Messi. They still have a good back line. They've been playing with Bayern. Sure enough that they have this crazy. So basically, what I'm going to say is Argentina. I'll just go into it fast. And Argentina, Croatia would be my top two for sure. Croatia, I think they have enough. You also watched them in the UEFA Europa, or not Europa, but
The Euros.
UEFA. Yeah, the Euros, excuse me. Exactly. And they were really good throughout that tournament as well. And I watched a lot of that tournament because Wales and all of those other teams were in. But yes, that's why you see them play in that type of situation. They were able to advance as well. So Croatia, Argentina, boom.
Cesar.
I didn't even know that Argentina still had Messi. I thought it was a done deal. But then again, I haven't really been paying attention to them much.
Yeah.
But going back to that argument that we said about Zlatan, with media pressuring them and all, and that that his own home club will actually be better off without him. I'm kind of gonna, in short, I'm going with Iceland and Croatia.
Wow. Wow, man.
All right.
All right, Edson. Whew. This group, man.
I am going to have to go on a limb and say that it will be Argentina's got it has to be because of the pedigree of what Argentina is. You have all these world-class players. They may not have the best chemistry, but when we know the history of Argentina and World Cups, they may not
You do
play.
remember that they barely qualified, right?
Yes.
Just
But-
reminding you, that's
yes,
all. Just reminding you.
But once Argentina's in the World Cup, even if they play bad, even if nobody likes how they play, they somehow make it far in the World Cup.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean they have to come. I mean, the way you stated that, it was like they were coming first in the group. But that you're just saying they're definitely advancing. That's all you're saying, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So they are going to advance, and
I can-
that's
I can
He's
accept
just
that.
saying that they're advancing because his favorite goalkeeper is from Argentina.
All
No.
right. Who's the other team coming out of this group that's not a third place team?
I am going to have to say
That's a tough toss up, man.
Croatia.
Okay. I can see it. Don't get me wrong. I can definitely see Croatia being the team to come out, but it's just I don't think Nigeria gets nearly enough credit. They're very,
Yeah.
very, very deep and very talented.
Nigeria may surprise, but I lean more with
I
Croatia.
I think the match that will be worth watching in that group is actually going to be Argentina-Croatia, because I think Croatia defensively are sound and solid enough that they can actually put the hurt on Argentina, which is why I think Argentina comes in second.
Mm-hmm.
I think that match ends up a 1-1 draw, 0-0 draw. And I think that hurts Argentina in goal difference, and I think that hurts Argentina in points. Just so we're clear where that's coming from.
Yeah, I get your point. And Ray, no, it's not because of Nahuel Guzman. It's because of Nahuel Guzman. No, it's because of Nahuel Guzman. Wait. No, wait. Was Guido? I don't. I was gonna say
We're
Guido
going to move
Pizarro.
on to Group E
Let's
now.
go to Group E. But all right. So in Group E, we have Brazil, Costa Rica, Serbia, and Switzerland. Jacob, you go first.
Could you repeat the group just like one more time?
Brazil, Costa Rica, Serbia, and Switzerland.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, this is another incredibly difficult group besides Serbia. We can already take them out of the picture. But we have the Swiss that they're a team to watch out for, to be that dark horse in a way. And I'm shocked to say that because Costa Rica and Brazil, we all know if they don't advance, basically there's going to be another riot and another government shutdown there. So, in my opinion, it will be Brazil and then Costa Rica. And why do I pick Costa Rica? They advanced last year and they made it super far. They still have that exact same team. And yes, they did dominate in the CONCACAF against like the United States and other teams like that, but they've been playing at a whole nother level. This isn't just a regular CONCACAF team. This is a real deal team that can make it into even the semis, not even just the quarterfinals.
So Brazil and Costa Rica.
Yes, sir.
Ray.
All right, I see where Jacob is coming from with the Costa Rica team. Let's not forget that this is basically the same Costa Rica group that made it out of the group of death 4 years ago when it had Uruguay, it had Italy, and it had the Brits. Okay? I think that besides the Brazil match with Costa Rica, which is going to be the highlight match there in that group, I see Brazil and Costa Rica moving on from this group in that order. Brazil, Costa Rica.
Okay. Cesar.
Oof. I'm gonna have to go with Ray on this one too. Brazil, Costa Rica. Brazil finishing first.
Sean.
In this order, Costa Rica, Brazil.
Oh.
This is one of the groups that the third place team does actually come out of, and that will be Switzerland.
Yeah, I got Switzerland on my third place too.
Swiss as my third as well.
Look at that! I started a trend over here.
Well, I am going to have to go with Brazil, Costa Rica, and Switzerland as well.
All right.
But
just realized I left my
Brazil
phone
getting
around.
first.
We already did Group F.
So let's go with Group G, which is Belgium, England,
Oh my
Panama,
God.
and Tunisia.
This is
Tunisia
gonna be
all
a
the
good
way,
one.
baby. Tunisia in the finals. I'm telling it. I'm calling it right now.
Tunisia.
They're the Iceland of this World
What are you
Cup.
talking about? We already said Iran and Morocco for the final.
I mean, having two teams meet in the final, coming out of the same group, first of all, that's just super rare. And then second of all, are you kidding me? I'm just, because, Tunisia totally has a shot, right? But no, seriously, repeat those teams for me again.
Belgium, England, Panama, and Tunisia.
Okay.
So I'm
I
going
feel
to
so bad for Panama.
I'm going to go Cesar, go first.
I don't. Yeah, isn't this Panama's first time qualifying for the World Cup?
Yes, because we knocked them out from qualification last time, didn't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
I believe
because
so.
if we hadn't, Mexico
I know.
wouldn't have qualified.
Well, that's a completely different
Yeah.
story. Hashtag you're welcome.
Hashtag
I know.
San Susi.
The only reason I knew that this is the first time actually qualifying, I know they made it like a national holiday too, the qualification.
Well, heck yeah. I mean, they're stealing
hell, I
Machado
would.
from the Dynamo for this, so they better do something in it, right?
Right.
Uh-huh.
All right.
All right. So who you got, Cesar? Come on.
Belgium on the other hand, and then there's the Brits.
Belgium and England.
Nah, I'm going out on a limb here, and I'm
Oh.
saying Belgium and Panama.
Oh, damn! Did not see that coming. All right, Jacob. We'll go Jacob next.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this young Belgium team from
Fort
young
Worth?
Belgium
Did
team
you
from
say from
4
Fort
years
Worth?
ago.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Fort Worth. I was like, wait, what?
I heard Fort Worth.
Yeah, so did I.
It's a new
I
Belgium
contradicted
team,
myself.
apparently. Super new.
Yanni or Laurel.
Well, we do have Chicago Fire playing in the World Cup too.
Well, Schweinsteiger's going to
about
get his next World Cup trophy, right?
Yeah. All right, Jacob.
So yeah, this young
think people
Belgium
forgot about
team comes in 4 years later. I think they're a lot stronger, and for sure they will finish first place. It's always second place. Now Panama will be that dark horse. Will they be able to make a bigger eruption, basically, to push themselves to move on? And England, can they change their form? Because England has been a bit poor with Harry Kane and those players. I still think that England will move on with Belgium. Belgium moving on Belgium, yes, moving on faster because I think Belgium will sweep this group. So Belgium first and then England second for sure.
Ray.
Oh boy, Panama. Oh boy, I would love to pick Panama, but I just can't. I see
There's
Belgium-
actually something on the line, so
think-
you got to be careful here.
I'm
Oh,
going
I
to go
completely forgot
with
about that.
Belgium winning the group.
Mm-hmm.
And my runner-up, oh, man. It's going to have to be England.
Another one.
I mean, if they
Oh.
play as bad as they did in Brazil and play as bad as they did in the Euros, they just got to shut down the FA for an entire year and reboot that thing.
Oh. Not wrong.
Sean.
Hold the power and the menu button on them.
So it's going to be Belgium England, and it's going to be interesting because Belgium England is actually a match of basically of teammates, because you have Toby Alderweireld and you have Jan Vertonghen in defense for Belgium, and then and Moussa Dembele, and then you have Harry Kane and Dele Alli on the other side of the equation here, and that's just going to be a fantastic match for me to watch as a Tottenham
And then
fan.
you got
But
Kevin De Bruyne
Kevin De Bruyne.
and Vincent Kompany.
Yeah, so many quality players from the Premier League will be in that one match, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, as much as my heart wants to say Panama, just to see Machado get that next knockout round opportunity, it's just not going to happen. They're not deep enough for that overall as a team. Belgium is they're very good.
I'm just going totally based off of morale for Panama.
What does that say there, Edson? Next to your yeah, what is that? What is that?
My predictions for this group:
What?
Belgium and Panama.
Oh crap! Kevin Garcia might be coming in.
Oh.
Jared Watts is down. Okay, so quick update on
Oh,
the Dynamo
Jesus.
game. Jared Watts is down.
He's walking off the pitch. I think
He's
he just
walking off.
Oh dear God! Yeah, it was a head thing or a shoulder thing or back. Actually, it's a back thing, grabbing his back. But yeah, that's a very light center back core right now. And
Add another one to the list.
if he's out, then that's Kevin Garcia comes in. Who did you just hang up on?
I think. Wait, hold on.
Who did you just hang up on? Yeah, that's bad. That's not good because if Kevin Garcia comes
There we
in, oh, there's the goal for our. Nope, it was wide. Okay, thank God. I
thank
was
you.
worried. I was close.
All right. So we have.
Sorry, I'm hijacking your show over here.
That's all right. All right. Group H, last group. All right. We have Colombia, Japan, Poland, and Senegal. Sean, go first.
Okay. Can you repeat those four for me one more time, real quick?
Colombia, Japan, Poland, and Senegal.
Colombia, Japan, Poland, and Senegal. Well, we know it's not going to be Senegal. Okay. Man, this is okay. I'm gonna go. Colombia, and dare I go against the Polish here? Man, I'm gonna do it. I'm going Japan and Colombia. Out on a limb here, on a major limb. All right, so that's gonna be. We will go to Jacob next.
All right. Yeah, I like what you're saying there. It's not wrong to go with Japan there, and it's obviously not wrong to go with Colombia. You take out Senegal, unless Senegal will just decide to try and hurt every single player they play against. But yeah, you take out Senegal, and then for sure my first team will be Colombia. As he changes jerseys. Wow, okay. Just noticed that. But yeah, I take Colombia, and I think I'm going to have to go with Poland here, yeah. They just seem like the better side.
For sure, Colombia and Japan, but I'm thinking Japan's going to come out first on this group stage.
Holy crapola. All right, I like Cesar a whole lot more right now.
Ray.
That's awesome.
You know, you cannot discount Poland's firepower scoring machine in Robert Lewandowski.
Lewandowski, correct.
I really like what they bring. However, I actually see Poland winning the group. I have them as my group winners, and Colombia as my runner-up.
Interesting. Wow. All right, here comes mine.
Everybody duck for cover.
Oh, you're holding it up to the camera. Oh, I see.
Colombia, number 1.
Is that the Mara Menottes shout out there? Is that what that is?
Pretty much.
Right on.
And then number 2, I'm going to have to go with Japan.
Okay. You and I had the same thought on that.
So, we've already finished. Okay, so we
Wait, we
finished
got our
the
third
group.
place teams. We only.
Hold on,
Oh,
hold on,
okay. You're
hold
getting
on.
there. You're
So we
getting
got
there.
our number 2s. We got our top 2s from each group. Now,
No, this ain't the Euros. Okay, it's only group winner and runner-up, Sean.
What? Come on. We got to go third place teams.
Yeah, look it up on FIFA, on FIFA's official page. It's just pure group winner and runner-up. There's no place for third place of finishers.
Hey, Ray, do you also mean the fake news page?
Well, that's FIFA. That's FIFA in general, but you know.
No, I think that's more like CONCACAF.
Well, I mean that too.
Well, yeah.
You could also put UEFA in that
Don't
too.
don't get me started on Coleman Bowl either.
each group plays around. It says the top 2 teams from each group advance to the knockout stage. There's no mention of third placers. Because you're talking about we have 4 teams out of each group. There are 8 groups. That is 32
That is
teams.
yeah.
So you're gonna go
It
with
goes to the round of
quarterfinals.
16. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, you're right.
Okay. So
I'm trying to think of where
Stupid math.
I don't know. The third place thing came in at some point. I don't remember what it was for.
I think
I think it was the Euros.
Was it?
yeah, it was a year.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put y'all on the spotlight now, and I'm gonna start with you, Sean.
Oh God.
Who do you see as the World Cup winner? This is for 5
Damn.
extra points.
Damn. Damn. Oh man. Oh, you had to go there. I'm so not in position to make this call right now.
That's what makes it fun.
You know, I'm going to go with not a dark horse, which for me is abnormal, and I'm going to go with the team that everybody probably expects to actually do it, and it's Germany. My runner-up is going to be Belgium, though. That's for 3 extra points, by the way. If you get the first and second place finishers, you get 8 points total.
All right, Ray, your turn.
Oh man, batting second. Oh man, Sean threw a fastball at me. Oh man, I'm gonna have to follow this same pick. Belgium and Germany.
Belgium in second.
Yes.
Okay. Jacob.
I think we're going to see something just like we've seen this year, sadly. The same 2 teams will make it into the finals. I think this time we will see a different story. I think we will finally see a happy Lionel Messi. Yes, I am saying Argentina is winning the World Cup versus Germany.
Interesting. Cesar.
Can somebody check on
I'm going
Jacob
off of
to see
home
if he
pick.
doesn't have an alcohol beverage on him?
Mrs. Young, can you check that for us, please? All right. Cesar?
Oh boy. What a time to be put on the spotlight. Just imagine them in their underwear.
He's overstuffed with Stackers and Frosties, folks. Game over.
Hey, so what's up for dinner? Let's see. Like Sean said, I'm in no way, shape, form, or position to be answering this question right now. But I'm going to stray away a little bit from the trend I've been seeing here, and I'm going with Portugal and Argentina.
Who wins?
Portugal.
Oh, Cristiano Ronaldo versus Lionel Messi showdown in the final.
Now that's something.
Portugal.
I see that in my dreams, but that's about it.
And in FIFA. All right.
That too, yeah.
Here comes mine.
Oh yeah, I forgot that FIFA 18 had an update yesterday.
Yeah, I need to find time to play it. But here comes mine. I am going to say Argentina win the World Cup
Nahuel Guzman.
against. I'm going to have to say Brazil.
Wow.
And I see Nahuel Guzman. And I see Nahuel Guzman blocking the final penalty to give Argentina the World Cup. Saque Rayados.
Okay. Yeah,
I
you
hate
see,
you,
now,
Edson.
I think Edson's on something right now. It's not me. I think mine was pretty normal, but I think it's Edson now.
No, and I'm sticking by that. Maybe not this who they play in second place, but I do see Argentina winning this final somehow. And Nahuel being the hero. So, having said this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting this all on an Excel sheet, and then next time, in the next episode after group stages, we'll do it again for each of the brackets, and so that's how we'll keep up to date with the points.
So we're doing round of 16 next. Is that what you're saying?
After the group stages, that way we have the actual, the teams who made it to round of 16. So, what do y'all expect from this World Cup?
The lights to go out, just like the Super Bowl.
That'll be funny. So what do y'all expect of, like, for example, the atmosphere, of this World Cup?
I just can't wait to see the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
What's this year's World Cup song anyway?
I think it's Nicky Jam, and I don't know who else.
Yeah, I believe it's the
Pitbull?
Will
person
Smith.
who played.
It's Will Smith, Nicky Jam, and someone from
Isn't like Pitbull involved like in every other like World Cup theme song?
Yes.
that's for the Coca-Cola World Cup song, not the official
Yeah,
one.
he's sponsored by Coca-Cola, big time.
Yeah, like this year, it's actually Maluma who did the Coca-Cola theme song for the World Cup, which sucks, by the way.
So my bold prediction for the World Cup is that Vladimir
Bring back Ricky Martin.
Putin gets a red card.
It's ejected from the state.
Yeah. I totally see that happening, guys. Come on.
All right, guys. So, excuse me, guys. So we're about to wrap up the show, and it was pretty fun looking and analyzing this World Cup, all the group stages. I hope everybody who's watching right now, enjoyed it. I will be leaving something that I will share. That way, you guys, our audience can participate as well. Just want to see how fun. Or how far off we are or something.
Beasley's currently down on the pitch, and he was just slamming he was just
no.
literally punching and slamming the pitch, so I have a feeling he's done. And they were checking his knee.
Well, that's just great.
Just add to our misery.
Can someone just throw a cane onto the field so he can walk out of it? No?
I just want the Dynamo to freaking call up Kyle Adams or Connor Donovan already, because I mean, at this point, do we have any defenders left on the bench? And I think the answer to that is no.
Except for Kevin Garcia, but
I think
Oh, yeah, he was warming up
we just
earlier.
gotta throw the bus back.
Yeah, well. Anyways,
What could you do?
anyways, so thank you guys for this was actually really fun to do. Thank you, Cesar. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jacob, for participating in this. Let's see who wins at the end of the World Cup. I will get back to you and letting you know what the prize will be once the World Cup begins.
Definitely. Thank you.
Free tickets to a Toros game.
Well, we're already going for free, so.
Exactly.
But but I will let you know exactly what it is. Hopefully, you all will like it. So,
Starbucks gift card.
say again.
Starbucks gift card.
Wendy's unlimited supply of Wendy's Frosties. Proud sponsor of the of Down in the Valley. No, I'm just kidding.
You already get that?
So down for that prize.
Sean says he'd love
It's
that.
gonna be 50 cents no more, just so y'all know.
Wendy's, you know they built that Wendy's like over where the
Yeah,
the
but-
Buc-ee's is.
Yeah, but I'm on a diet.
I know you are. But that just means if you win, I end up with the pledge.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. All right,
Just do what I
guys.
did. Put the strawberries and blueberries in it. So you can make it healthy.
That seems like a good idea. But yeah, dude, guys, thank you so much for your participation. I really appreciate it.
Wait. I know we have to have something for the loser too.
Oh, wooden spoon.
Oh no! Oh
Whoever
no!
loses, whoever has the least amount of points. Hold on, I'm gonna get on the mic for this one because this is good. All right, whoever
We're doing an
loses.
impractical joke this year?
No. We're not going quite that far. Whoever loses has to, at the next RGV match, or for me at the next Dynamo match, and or you at the next Dynamo or RGV match, has to wear an SAFC either jersey or scarf.
Oh!
And they have to have their picture taken with it so that it can be saved for posterity's sake and put on the Down in the RGV website and posted to the Down in the Valley Twitter. You will
I'm
eat
going
your
impractical jokers
words.
here.
Oh,
I don't know how to shape my head.
that is torture right there. Well, you know, to be fair,
It's sitting right here.
I have to wear gloves for this. I need to shower with some sort of acid or something.
Bleach right there, yeah.
But we
Where
actually
are we going to get that?
we do have a San Antonio FC scarf right here right now that Harry gifted Sean. So that will be available for the loser.
And I'm sure that Harry will be happy
Jesus
to
Christ.
help us.
But what happens if it happens to be Sean?
Oh, Ray says, what about if it's you or the one that gets the wooden spoon?
I'll go as far as to say I will wear an FC Dallas shirt. You know why? Because I'm not losing.
Oh yeah.
So you guys didn't hear, he said that he will wear an FC Dallas shirt,
Not a scarf, a shirt.
a shirt at a,
Derby match.
to a derby match in
No,
Houston. That's
no.
that is how sure he is that
Yo,
he
you
is
got
not.
you got a freaking death wish or something?
He's like, do you have a death wish or something?
I'm not going to lose. I don't have anything to worry about, guys.
Oh, but if you
That's a
lose,
bullshit.
you have to wear that, and you have to find a way to come out on camera.
Okay. I'll use my points.
He's just going to be there, like,
Walkout thing.
hiding his face
You
in his
will-
own stuff.
I'll hold the
Or you can just come up behind Glenn Davis and Eddie Robinson when they're doing the pregame show. But yeah, it's just all.
No.
Oh,
No, I propose something.
until somebody gets beat up at a derby match.
The loser, besides having to wear a San Antonio FC scarf, they have to go with Jeff Strong and retweet one of your items.
They're getting real cynical here, guys.
wait. So repeat that, Ray.
Yep.
What does the loser have to do besides wear a San Antonio scarf? Are you there, Ray?
Yeah.
Ray, repeat.
Down here.
Yeah, repeat what you said. The loser. What does the loser have to do besides wear the San Antonio scarf?
Has to go up to Jeff Strong and has to retweet something about the picture and a Houston Dynamo related tweet.
Oh,
as he's
damn,
always
'cause
done.
That will go to
every
every
Sorry.
fan out there. Oh, that's hardcore. That's hardcore.
Oh no!
All right.
What, Jacob?
Because
Jacob, it sounds like you're scared now.
Oh, okay. We went a bit too bold to be exact, but in a sense, this has been my calmest picks. You should see my March Madness brackets every single year. It's filled with like half the page is filled with upsets.
Yeah, you and me both. I mean, that's common. But by the way, it's after 9 o'clock, so it's time for you to cut it out so I can turn the freaking Dynamo match up and I can actually listen and watch with joy and put the dog away because he's annoying the hell out of me.
Yeah, we got you, man. So, all right,
Bring
just for
in the
final.
dog and put out the cat.
All right, everybody in favor of that punishment, say aye. Aye.
I think you're nuts.
You don't get a choice.
Majority wins. All right, guys.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Jacob. Thank you, Cesar, for joining us in this special edition of Down in the Valley. We hope to see you. We hope to see you all next Wednesday for the episode 23 of
Thank you,
Down in the
guys.
Valley.
So the name of this episode was Mazarasha, right?
It was Royal Pains.
That's not as good. Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
I had to do it in the last second.
I know, I'm just kidding.
So thank you, and so Ray, you're gonna be there tomorrow for the special tours announcement, right?
All right.
I'm asking. I'm not commanding you.
Well, no, I mean, at that point, he's basically said, yes, I will. So he's kind of committed to it now.
Okay. All right, guys. So take care. We'll see each other next time.
Later, guys.
Later.
Yeah.
Forever
Later.
Orange,
Bye.
Soros Toros.
Like,
And Martinez gets a yellow. Great. Anytime, guys. Later. Let's enjoy this Houston Dynamo game. Let's get those 3 points. Later.
Everybody wants something they can't have, so they gon' put it on you. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Over the ocean, I can see us there. Let's run away and be forever young. We'll catch the sun where there's no need to run. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. 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 I see you, and you see me too. We may be broke, but we see the truth. All this bullshit drama, I can see right through. Everybody wants something they can't have, so they gon' put it on you. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there. Over the ocean, I can see us there. Let's run away and be forever young. We'll catch the sun where there's no need to run. Wherever you go, yeah, you can take me there.